Dean and I are just talking about, how there's big companies out there that are such an integral part of your life. They're the fabric of your whole life, and you don't even know their name.
Right. And you know what? Our guest, I love their tagline, I'm going to say it. Everywhere you live, go and work. So we have the president from CRH Americas Building Solutions with us, John Kemp. This guy's tough to get.
He's
really tough to get.
And they're not only the largest building supply in North America, they're also your local partner.
Exactly. Yeah. They're like a small company who just happens to be huge. Hey, John.
Hey, guys. What's
up?
How's
it going? Look at him.
It's going great. Hey, I want to look at this. I upgraded from the motel room that we last did the podcast in Baltimore. What do you think? How do you like
much better
digs? Well, the host, I'm not, but the backdrop is fantastic. The backdrop's fantastic. Guys, that intro, it gets better every time you do it. And I don't deserve that. I really don't. But,
yes, you
but
do.
Thank you.
John, tell everybody what your position is with CRH.
So, I do have I hate titles, and that, guys. We've talked about that because titles, if you have to use a title, then you're not doing the work. And that's why I love your podcast, is because this is about people that are actually doers, not just, prognosticators and people who get their hands dirty, mud on their boots, feet on the street, whatever you want to call it. So I handle a large business development group at CRH, and we span across the globe, but mainly we focus in the Americas here and over in Europe. And what we try to do, you said it best. We're a large company, but let's not talk about that. Let's talk about we're a large company that acts like a very small company in your local communities.
Exactly.
Because if you think about the products that we make, and we make a lot of products, probably some which I don't even know about, and I've been with the company almost 20 years. But, aggregate, concrete block, ready-mix concrete, it doesn't travel very far, and it's heavy. So we are in our local communities because of the products that we make and the difference that we make in people's lives. Everybody, when they come in and they go, "Oh, John, you crush big rocks into small rocks." You guys know that, right?
Right. Oh, yeah.
The quarry business. But it's more than that. We like to say that we impact people's lives locally and regionally for the better. For instance, deliver clean drinking water, concrete pipe. Build the buildings, your homes that you live in. We never think about concrete or aggregate, but it is a sexy product, and it's a sexy industry. I know my wife would disagree. She'd be like, "John, it's concrete. How can you like concrete that much?" But I do, and it's asphalt concrete, and we've got a lot of stories to tell, and I know limited time to do it. But we're the big company that operates and acts locally, because if you think about our acquisition strategy, and I'll get off CRH just for a second, but we're very unique. We like to buy small, mid-sized companies, keep the management. That's a key,
right?
Because
that's awesome.
Most of the other big companies, they have a row of newly minted MBAs, and when your number's called, you go run the business.
Right.
But we like to be in the community, hire from the community, because guess what? That's who has the relationships. It's not some faceless corporate entity.
John, I'm glad you gave us a quick rundown. One of the things I like to focus on first is your materials division.
And you started talking about that already.
Right. That's a big spectrum of your business.
Aggregates is a huge category right there.
Right.
A lot of people may not even know what an aggregate is. It's such a part of our daily life,
True.
Right? But it's anything that's crushed, all the way from a 1/4-inch chip, all the way to 5-6 inch, even maybe bigger than that.
Right.
But if you take aggregates away, right, then your roads aren't there, your concrete's not there. It's in part of everyday life of what we have, right, John?
I think there was a statistic, and I'm probably going to get some of this wrong, but I'll get the majority of it right. Do you know that concrete? I think this is a few years old, but concrete was the second most consumed product on the planet at one time. Now you think about that.
Amazing.
It's in everything we do. We just don't realize it. Yeah, it's crazy when you think about the aspects and the uses. And Dean, I'm a geologist, petroleum by schooling,
Yes.
undergrad. So
Right.
if you want to talk about amorphous silicate structures, which I know your audience is like, John, what they're already asleep
John, you were
from.
doing so well when you talked about the sexy side. Now you're blowing it, man.
To me, it's a geologist. It's a sexy business, but it's a steady business. It's a much needed business that I think we take for granted.
Right.
Absolutely. You know, John, I wanted to tap into sustainability because
Oh, the key word.
everybody's talking
buzzword.
Yes.
the buzzword.
Yes.
Everybody's talking about that today. But I mean, with a company your size, I mean, and with all the people that are under your company, this must be a constant discussion you guys are talking about.
Constant, and I would say within the past maybe year to 2 years, it's moving up on the importance priority
absolutely. No
at
question.
our company.
Yeah.
And if you think about this, think about asphalt and concrete. You know, a lot of aggregate goes into both, but we also take back a lot of when they rip up the roads, we take back and then recycle all that. So it is the ultimate in sustainability, concrete and aggregate. And we repurpose that. And then when the life is up on that, we take it back to the quarries, put it through a crusher, and then reuse it again. So we will continue to use and become more sustainable, because concrete is a very sustainable material, as is asphalt, because it keeps being reused.
So that's the big pointer with your aggregates too. I think a lot of people assume when they see like a big office building parking lot get demoed or a highway, they think all that material goes into a landfill
or something.
And it doesn't.
No, it gets recycled.
It doesn't.
Right.
People in the masonry and hardscape world have been green forever. Since we're growing up, they've been doing
John, it also brought up a word. Dean and I were talking this week about the word perception. Dean says, the perception of a company your size is that, a company this big gets that way because they've plowed everybody over and consumed everything around them and all of that, which isn't true. If you don't have sustainability within the mission statement of what you're doing, we're going to lose the next generation, because they're all talking about it.
And we tell the story often as we can, because even when we are finished the useful life of a quarry that we can't use it, we will want to put that in and repurpose the quarry itself as a wetland,
Yes.
as a nature habitat.
That's right.
Or if the ground is such that it's not going to penetrate, we'll also offer, in partnership with some of the big waste management firms, a landfill, because until we become fully sustainable, and I'm talking about plastic recycling, glass recycling, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, landfills are going to be a necessity. But you have to, again, that is the ultimate expression in sustainability. Not only the product itself, but after you mine the product, what can you use that quarry for the benefit of the local communities? Because the quarry ain't going anywhere. It's staying in your local area.
That's right.
And that's the story that we love to tell when it comes to the material side.
No, we can see that. We see that. I mean, we've talked about this before, John, but this is a great point to bring it back up, is that next generation. It's a discussion we've been talking about for probably the last 15 years when we were at the World of Concrete, right? And we're interviewing people from all over the world, and I know that you guys display there as well, and our vendors there, is, these kids, they don't understand the business if we don't take some responsibility in leading them into it. It's a multi-billion-dollar industry, and they don't even understand half the jobs that are available to them within it. Engineers, designers, estimators, not just people that work with tools. Architects, And the other thing too, John, and I know you guys have the ACE mentoring program. And that ACE mentoring program stands for Architecture, Construction, and Engineering, correct?
Yes.
You guys are in, I think you're in about 36, 38 states around the country. It's an after-school program for high school kids, and it introduces them into these areas. I think it's a fantastic idea. Can we talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I'd love to. We, not only us, but there's a lot of other large, medium-sized, small companies that really believe in this and contribute. We're a top contributor, but it's not just about throwing money at it. It's about spending time in a true mentoring role. And frankly, when we go to trade fairs or we'll go to colleges, I have to compete with Googles and Amazons and all the kids are over there. And I said, hey, we're cool. over here. Construction is cool. Let me explain.
Right.
I love technology, but again, I think technology to make people's lives better, that's the key. I mean, where I live in Alpharetta, Georgia, it's experienced huge growth. But whenever they put up the facades on these buildings, we walked the dogs downtown, and I said to my wife, that facade's coming off in 6 months. That one's going to be probably 4 months, and this one's going to be 5 months. And guess what? I could take a picture when I go home tonight, and everything has come true because you're not getting that great quality craftsmanship.
Right.
And that's because we haven't trained the future generation of leaders. And leaders does not mean you got to be a white collar leader. Leaders come everything in every shape, size, color, form, from the janitor all the way to the CEO.
To get good at our trade, any trade, you have to spend some years doing it. It doesn't happen overnight. And they're so used to the computer age where it's pushing a button or, you know, learning a program and you get it instantly. So that's the hard thing we have to fight.
We do, and I'll give you a great analogy on that. I've got a great friend, Steve Kaufman Construction in Dallas, Texas, and when I met him, he's a concrete turnkey guy, but he wants to make a difference. So when I met Steve, probably in the early '90s, he said, "I want to be a different type of builder in concrete, and I want to give prospective homeowners. He builds a lot of homes, and I want to make a difference." And I said, "The only way I know how to do this is pick up a trowel and run it over some concrete in the plastic state to see. A good finisher, takes years, and you can feel, right? Does it tear on the surface?
That's right.
Right? Is it not enough fines in the mix? Is there not enough cement, et cetera, et cetera?" I agree, but you know what? I think life is best lived, right, outside and off of a Excel spreadsheet. Everybody's saying we need to get back to outside. Okay, well, isn't that blue collar? Isn't that what we do? Isn't that we build stuff? We build stuff with our hands. You've got to feel the material. If you've never done that, okay, I would say, and I don't want to use the old expression, get back to nature. I'd say get back to real world.
Yeah.
Living behind a computer screen is not real world.
Well, John, I agree with you. I didn't mean to cut you off there, but I wanted to say one thing that popped up. When we were kids growing up, and I'm sure you too, it's primal in us to build something. Look at Legos, right? Legos, girls, boys, building and building and building, creating something. Look what I created. Right. Then we find our way, we get into other things and all that. But there is something within that. And I think one of the biggest struggles we have with this generation and the one behind them isn't maybe so much the kids, but it might be the parents' perception of the construction industry. Not knowing what the opportunities are. Yeah.
I would definitely agree with you. And the only way to break that stereotype is to mentor. My plumber I'm great friends with him. He does a phenomenal business. But as he said, he's making a difference in people's lives. And I tell my kids, the most important people, your plumber, your garbage man, okay? Yeah. Because when they go away, guess what? You're in deep, you know what?
It doesn't,
so I think
doesn't smell too good.
Instead of figuratively. But I do think the perception, you're right. And, tech companies are great, nothing wrong with them. But I think we have to get back, to, working with your hands. We did a big study a couple of years back, and everybody, our company that we hired, they said, what's the strongest building material? And of course, you get the usual answer, steel, concrete. And we all said, no. You just said it, guys, optimism. Why do you build things? Because you're optimistic about the future.
Absolutely.
You're optimistic about filling that building. You're optimistic about putting people in homes. You're optimistic about delivering clean water, okay, to us, to our friends and neighbors.
And the one thing with the younger generation that is exciting,
yeah,
we're going to tie in innovation because they're so tech savvy.
Yep.
And construction.
Right.
This 3D printing that we've talked before, I can see eventually that you're going to 3D print housing for affordable housing to where you can give people homes,
right,
and maybe help the homeless crisis with technology, right, and innovation.
Well, the other thing that pops up for me is, these kids are actually going to start solving some of the problems that not that we've necessarily created,
Well,
but that have come
you've
along.
created some.
I haven't created any problems. What are you talking about?
We won't talk about that.
You were the one in the
I'm
family.
guilty. I'm guilty too.
Okay, it's all your fault. So, but the problems that came along the way because things have changed. Like, for example, we're going to get into politics. We're not going to get into politics. But there was a guy on the radio the other day in New York City, and somebody asked him, well, what do you think about what's going on in Washington, D.C. right now? He goes, I don't know, but I'm ready to drive over this 120-year-old bridge. Could somebody fix it? And I thought, what a perfect point of view. Like, the house is burning down, but everyone's focusing around the landscape, Right. It's like, and I was thinking about you guys, John. I was thinking about your infrastructure. I was thinking about all the things you have in place to rebuild that bridge, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And without getting into the politics, because it seems you can, if you want politics, just go online. Pick your poison. Either way. But you're absolutely right. And it goes back to what we started. The podcast today. It's local. I'm worried about my potholes. I'm worried about the drainage ditches. Outside. The development. Do I know what goes on in Washington? I don't care. It doesn't affect my daily life. Do I keep involved so we can drive the clean air, clean water, develop great leaders? Whether you're white collar, blue collar, don't have a collar, whatever. I think just helping out. I think helping out and spending time in developing leaders at all levels. That's the key.
I mean, it is going back to like the infrastructure of the highways and all that. You guys have this innovative program called Aware, correct? Mm-hmm. And can we tap on that before we let you go?
Yeah, we believe in giving back, and I think that's a hallmark of any company that wants to lead. This Aware system, obviously, we on the material side of the business, the bulk of that business is heavy highway construction.
Exactly. Yep.
Very dangerous, as you well know.
Oh, yeah.
And we developed this system because we had a few deaths with, impaired drivers plowing into a work crew. And the system was developed, and I won't get you into the specifics, but what we did is we took this technology that we spent millions of dollars developing, and we offered it to the industry, basically our competitors, because we felt that life was more important than profits at that time, that we needed to share this to save lives. And again, I think that is a leadership that's making a statement saying that, we value the future more than we do a quarterly profit at this particular case. So I appreciate you guys bringing that up.
Well, you know what, John, because we just had a major tragedy here with an impaired driver coming from a party
two young girls.
Yeah, and we've experienced it personally in our lives too. But that's the thing that you and I have seen forever. It is like a lot of companies innovate products, not necessarily for profit, right? They do it because they're tied in. It goes right back to your backyard. The men and women who use your products and come to your plant every day to buy the crushed stone and stuff.
Right.
And if you can do something to literally help save their life, I know that's sounding dramatic, but it's not.
It's life.
Right.
It's life.
John, you know what? So from this discussion, and we could go on for hours, I see the future of construction only growing. The only thing that's going to slow us down is the labor shortage.
Yeah, the labor shortage is real. It's probably not going to get better, I would say, in the short term. But more importantly, I think now is a great time to tell the story, to get the younger generation coming into the industry so that we can probably smooth out future labor shortages when the economy is doing so well. Because what's going to happen. There's going to be inevitably a recession that will happen. And then they'll weed out some of the poorer, and more people will flood back in. I don't know that having a body rather than a passionate person who wants to make a difference, i.e., leaders. Okay, I think we're doing a lot to train the future leaders of America to smooth out some of these labor shortages by telling the story. And I'll leave you with this, guys. My motto: leadership's an action, not a position. And I think and you'll know the difference. And the younger generation coming up really knows the difference, because if they see the CEO or president or whoever sitting in their posh corner office. Guess what? That's not a leader.
No.
That's not a leader,
You're
right?
right.
That's
You're
a guy who's working on a spreadsheet.
Yeah.
He's not helping your career.
You're right,
Okay.
John.
But the action ones are out there with you in the field, getting dirty, finishing concrete, hammering nails, putting on a roof. That's life. And I don't know what more I can add to that, guys.
Well, all I can add is you're coming to visit us at the quarry. You need to make a local trip at some point from Atlanta. Okay, so we'll see you. All right, and John, thank you so much for your time today. I mean, really.
You guys, I love your show. I love what you're doing for the industry. You just can't. I can't thank you guys enough. All right, and anytime you need me, if the schedule allow, please, I will be wherever you need me to be.
Well,
okay?
John,
Thank you.
I really appreciate that, because I think too, and I don't want to start a whole other conversation, but I think our industry is completely ignored with advertisers, with getting into the digital world, and people don't realize the wealth in this business. The wealth that this business creates. We could just talk about your little facet of the business. Overall, the construction business is right up there with the high tech, but nobody notices.
Right.
Nobody spends any time with it.
Right.
I agree. And guys, do you think maybe that's because we are pretty humble, or try to be humble? I mean, where you go out, you lace your work boots up, you go out, you do your job, you go home. I think that's a big part of it, which is great. But I also think that, you got to tell the story, and you guys are telling that story. And that's why I'm so grateful to get it out there. And we can build some great future leaders, because there is more money in this industry. And if people do the research, okay, they're going to find out, they're like, God, I had no idea it was this great. And it's like we always say, it's probably not the sexiest of industries, but you know what? Over the decades, the line on the graph, it always is moving up to the right. That's a good thing. That's
right. And we're lucky enough, John. I know you're a humble guy, but you were truly a leader. And for some of these young kids to get a chance to meet you and hear your story, because everyone has a story.
Everybody.
You know what? You put a great face on a big company.
Absolutely.
You guys are unbelievable. Anytime you need me, I'm here. Thank you for the work that you do for this industry, and let's go make a difference.
All right, buddy. We'll talk to you soon.
All right, guys.
Talk to you soon.
Thanks so
Have
much.
a good one.
See ya.
Yep.
You know what's great about him? Think about it. If I was a forklift driver at one of his companies like Belgard,
Right.
if I got a chance to see that,
I'd be excited about the company.
Wouldn't you?
Yeah, absolutely.
I think you could learn a lot from him.
Absolutely.
Because
well,
the people
we've
you
learned a
work
lot.
with and stuff, your leadership, not so much. I'm just saying. Listen, it's an honest time. We can be honest with each other.
It's
right?
honest. I've been with you my whole life. Trust me, I know who's the leader of this group.
It's my honest time. I'm being honest with you. You could get better.
Anyway, folks, we hope that you like us and subscribe. This is Dean and Derek. We'll see you next time
Thanks
on
for
Let's
playing.
Go to Work. The purple shirt absolutely does not
Barney?
work for you. You
It's
look
a
like
Barney
Barney.
look.
You
I'm
absolutely
bringing
look
Barney
like
back.
Barney.
John's bringing sexy back. I'm bringing Barney.